everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and as you can see from the title of this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite spreads. And it's not a spread so much in having positions, although it can, and it definitely came out of my love for, perhaps I should turn my phone off, for Lenormand. Certainly when I started to use a 9 card is through Lenormand. And so it's an amazing, when you're doing grand tableaus, you're still doing 9 cards. That for me, the 9 card really is sort of the hub of reading Lenormand, because once you kind of get comfortable with that, that's all, that's what you're doing with, I mean, there's obviously other things with the grand tableau that you're doing, but in the end, you're doing a series of 9 cards in Lenormand, or surrounding Lenormand. And so that is a wonderful thing. But I have found it to be a really great way of reading, regardless of what it is that you are choosing to read with. It's just a really great, and I do find, and that was bad shuffle, I do find that I apply sort of the Lenormandy thing with it. So for Lenormand, if I am simply doing a 9 card, and I have videos on the 9 card Lenormand, but let's say I'm going to go do a general reading, I would find, okay, well, here's the man, and then I would take the 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards after, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards before, and that's how I form my 9 cards in Lenormand decks, because I am in Lenormand, I believe in proximity. That's part of the key for me with Lenormand would be to do with proximity, what's closest to the whatever key, if it was work or whatever we were doing. So because we've chosen what this middle card is, I always look to the upper left for, okay, well, what's going on here? What is the main theme? Well, there's a little bit of luck and happiness coming this way, right? And then you do what you do with the grand tableau. That would be like the first 3 cards of the grand tableau. Then you look to the corners. Okay, we have a little luck of happiness, bringing harmony, abundance, right? Well, it's a little bit of luck and harmony and abundance, maybe out of sorrow or difficulty, because we do see in the past an ending for this person, but moving forward to new connections, right? And so then I would look at the cross around it. We've got the end of something, but the beginning of something new, reconnecting with people that you can trust and feel loyalty. Perhaps this was a bad ending in which some trust was lost, but there are new connections coming. So, and you can look to the past, you can look to the present, you can look to the future. I'll put a link to my, I think I have a specific 9 card Lenormand reading. So this isn't, the purpose of this video isn't to kind of really piece by piece go through a 9 card Lenormand, but this is certainly where it started, and this is the 1889 Lenormand, which I'm in love with. I really would like to know where she had these cards printed off at, because I would want to print a whole bunch of things on them, on this cardstock. So anyway, so this is, but this is where it started. This is where I really learned the 9 card, was through Lenormand reading. But I have also found it to be a wonderful thing to use with playing cards. So this is my, what's this called? The Wagner's Ring playing cards, which has the art of Arthur Rackham on it, which is absolutely stunning. I don't think these are in order, but just in case. So now this, for this style, I wouldn't necessarily pull for the significator like I would with Lenormand. However, with playing cards, I do like to work in sets of 3. So I would still do a 9 card and just lay it more normally. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, and 3. So there we have our 3 card. Now in this instance, I would probably read more again in chunks. I can look at the past, present, we can look into the future where we can, if we're just looking at simple colors, we see there's been some good things here, but they're really kind of progressively having some difficulties. Now I wonder, I've used this a lot since I got it. Teasing, so this is somebody being teased by the nymphs. Return to Valhalla, so we have 7 of spades here. I'm just curious if the images had to do with more positive things with the positive cards. The Son of What's gorgeous. I do have a walkthrough of this particular deck, but just using it strictly as playing cards, we can see there might be some difficulties coming in the future, and where they're at right this moment. They're really probably in a period of difficulties, just if I was looking, because we have a little bit of good things, but we've got, you know, some difficult cards, because in playing card reading, spades are difficult, and wands or clubs, I'm sorry, are problematic, and so those are things to pay attention to. And I need to do, before this month is up, so I need to do that in the next week, to do a playing card reading video. So again, the purpose of this particular video isn't to kind of go into how-tos, but to show the versatility of a 9-card reading. So for playing card, I would be looking past, present, and future at the 3. I would also be looking at sort of body here in the physical world, up in the mental realm, and down below in sort of the under realm and in the emotions and these types of things, and kind of can get like a check-in reading that way. That's really lovely. But I would be reading them in sets of 3. You could also do sort of your connectives and follow your square, just as if you, or the cross, internal cross, like you would in Lenormand as well. But it's a really great way to see how the cards are interacting with each other, and it's just a nice way. It's a great reading style. This lovely 9 cards. So you can do it with playing card reading if you read playing cards. You can, obviously I already showed Lenormand. This is the Maybe Lenormand, which is based on the Whitman, like kind of the Gypsy cards. So this has more cards than Lenormand does. You can just take the Lenormand cards out. And you can, but the nice thing about this particular style deck, so the Gypsy Witch decks, there's another one that this is based off of. I think one is the Whitman, and then one I think is the Gypsy Witch style, but kind of more of the, I think maybe would be considered more of the Romany method. But it does have the similar cards to Lenormand, so you could like search through here and find a significator. So let's say we were going to look for the heart card. I have these a little whopper jawed, but that's okay. Or the path card. I like to use the path card a lot. So, you know, there's a person has a major decision to make, and so we want to get some information of what's going on around that decision, so that they can be, you know, get some heads up as they're making choices. So I really like this. Sometimes I'll do a grand tableau, but then I'll do some specific readings on big decisions coming up. So we can see that this is probably going to end well, right? Maybe a little bit of problems at the get-go, but it should end up going, moving in the right direction towards happiness. And so you would then, again, I would read this very similar to Lenormand. I would look there for the major theme. I would look to the corners. I would follow the cross around, you know, past, present, and future, and kind of see what information we can get to help to work with this particular system. So any type of cartomancy type of cards are going to work really well with a 9 card, as you can see, and that makes sense. But it's also wonderful for tarot. I do quite like to use this. I do a check-in reading where I use 3 different tarot decks. I use Shadowscapes above, Druidcraft at the body, so that's kind of the air and the mind, the body and the soul. I use the Tarot of the Hidden Realms, and it's really neat to see how the different decks and sometimes multiple of the same cards being able to show up. To be able to see how those interact is wonderful. This is the Chimone. I know I'm probably slaughtering that. I need to do a walkthrough of this because I've actually found this to be a really powerful deck to read with. And it's nice because it's a compact size, which is why I've chosen it for a 9 card. So you can do the same thing with tarot readings, and 9 card tarot readings, you know, are really, however you set them up, are really great. But doing this kind of square or rectangle configuration, again, there's a lot that you can do. You can look to the present cards, right? And we can see the Chariot and the King of Staves or Wands and the Hanged Man. So we have, it's time to move, right? It's time to make some changes. It's time to really take control of your transformative and your energy that's out there manifesting itself. But this is going to really take you gaining a new perspective, right? You're really going to have to flip things upside down and think about things differently, and it's time to start moving forward. We can see in the past we have, again, some wand energy here with the Prince of Staves, or Wands as it would be. We have the 6 of Wands below here in the past, and then we have the 10 of Discs, which is a really cool, this art for this is quite unconventional. It's not really Rider-Waite-Smith, and it's beautiful how it does. Now in this case, because I haven't chosen the middle, I really would look to the middle card and see, okay, that's the central of what's needs, that's the core. That's the main point here. And here we have the 5 of Swords, which is about problems and difficulties, right? However, what I love about this card is it doesn't just show the problems, but it almost shows also the solution. And you need to get up and above the new perspective, but you also need to get up and above the situation. There is difficulties going on, and it's time to take the higher road, right? Here they are plugging along on this road, and now it's time to drop the swords and take the higher road here. And so I would look to that middle card. I would look what's going on above in the mental realm, what's going on at the foundation, at the feet that could be causing problems. Look at the past, look at the present, look at the future. There's a lot you can do with tarot with this configuration of a basic 9 card rectangle that works really beautifully. And so because you get, again, I'm really fond of 3 card sets, and that may be because I did come a little bit more out of cartomancy. I've always been obsessed with playing cards, and so that could be why, but I'm fond of 3, so a 9 card is simply 3 times 3 times, or 3 plus 3 plus 3, right? And you think about the number 9 being one of dynamic movement, right? You've got growth, 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 3, 3, 3. It's that building of energy, that movement forward. And I think that this spread actually reflects that energy where you can get so much information. So this is just another tarot deck, my favorite. Neoclassico Tarot. Again, this is a small deck, and smaller decks work. Obviously, you can use a big deck too, but for my reading space, smaller decks, just really work well. So here I would look to the 6 of Coins and really pay attention there. Same thing. I would look to the top 3 cards. It's what's going on above the surface. Sometimes what's a message from the higher self, but also it can be what's going on in the mind. Where's our mental place at? Where's our emotional state at? Where is that physically what we're going to be doing place at? And look at these 3 here. Again, past, present, moving into the future. How are they affecting and talking and relating to each other? Look to the corners, right? Follow the cross around. You can really read it very similar to Lenormand, and just get a lot of information out of 9 cards. And I think it's a really good, one of the things that I really love about this particular spread is that it teaches the interrelations of the cards, and it also teaches how you can read the same card in different ways in the same spread. So for example, if I'm reading past, present, and future as this little splot right here in the middle, I'm sorry, if I'm reading this as the kind of physical plane, this is the body, this is the practicality, this is the material world. We do have a sense of structure here. We do have the 6 of Coins that's moving into harmony. There's going to be some growing and some harmonizing. And we have the 5 of Cups here, which gives us the idea that things might be, the number 5 is about things that are kind of disruptive. So perhaps that sort of what was really structured, number 4 kind of moving and having growth and movement in the 6 may have made things, some internal emotional things being a little bit off whack that may be affecting the practical world, which would then say, okay, I need to look at the bottom and see what's going on here. But my point being is that we can look at this and read this all one way, and then look to the future, and let's say the 4 ends up meaning something else. Maybe the stagnancy. No, it's not really that. But let's just say, you know, we see a lot like 4s and maybe an 8 in the past, and we can say, okay, maybe things are overly structured. Maybe things are kind of stagnant when I'm looking into the past. So the cards can flow and shift within the same spread. Lenormand is a really good teacher of that. When you read it one way in connection with certain cards, and you read it in the same spread but looking at a different significator, the meaning of the card can shift and change. And just because you said okay, the 4 of swords is about secure, or the 4 of coins is about security in one configuration, looking at it in terms of these 4 cards, we could end up looking at it as being one of stagnancy. Maybe we could see here, okay, well, it's really structured, it's really founded in home, everything is rooted here, but it's time to kind of break out of that and go off. This Knight of Wands is saying it's time to go out and manifest. You've done that sort of structured thing, but now it's time to make some movement forward, shake things up, and start to face the world a little bit more with an open chest, right? Be ready to just go out there in the world and experience things and not be so structured and perhaps even rigid, right? So we could change that meaning based on the fact that now we're reading it in conjunction with these other cards. And that's just one of the things that I love about the 9 card, is that I think that if you really work with this for a while and really kind of try all the aspects of it, you start to really see how a fluid reading with cards can be, and that even within the same spread, those cards have different nuances to say to you. In one aspect they may be in light, and another aspect they may be in shadow, just depending on what are the adjoining cards with it, right? This is the Minciati Uturia deck. This is a 97 card. Again, it's small, you have that cartomancy feel to it, and it just lends itself to reading with 9 cards. So again, I'm not, going in depth, I guess, on what you might do and not do. I'm just highlighting the 9 card spread and saying, give it a try, because it's beautiful, it's versatile, there's so much that you can do with it. Again, this is a tarot-like, it is tarot, it's an expanded tarot, it has more cards in it, but you would read it very similarly. I would look, above and below, what's at the physical alley, what is the past, present, and future, right? What's really central, because if this is a central card, what are the cards that are actually touching it? Those are going to have significant impact here, right? I'll look to the corners, because that could be telling us a linear story about sort of key information or key movement. And so you would go and kind of really dive into and dissect this card in sets of 3 and sets of 3 and sets of 4, and with the corners and the cross around it. So quite a versatile reading. So I wanted to show you just a couple different decks and how this. Now, the one thing that I don't say that I use this very much for is an oracle. The exceptions to that are decks that lend themselves. So the Earthbound Oracle has a cartomancy size, a giant oracle. I generally, with big standard oracles, I don't use 9 cards. I generally am using 3 cards. But there is a preciseness about this particular deck that I do really love, the Earthbound Oracle, and it just lends itself to working with a 9 card as well. Although I will say for the most part, I do 3 of these as well. But the same sort of thing. Okay, well, we're getting a guide. We're getting a message here, right? So I would look to that middle. I would look to the corner. We have that sense of hibernation with water, a resting in an emotions, because look at out of death comes growth. We have listening to our intuition as we're working creatively and manifesting outward with that sun energy, and this is a gift to us. We can look to the future where death gives way to sun, right, and brings about that balance in the emotions. So this deck does lend itself very well to a 9 card, and I really allow that center card to become what is that key theme that I need to pay attention to, because all other cards kind of hover around it. So that is an exception to that oracle rule. The Curious Oracle is another one I think that is an exception to that rule, just because it lends itself. It actually has a system. It actually has the most amazing card stock, but it actually has a system. It has suits. I do actually, oftentimes, these are not set that way right now, but I very often will use reversals on this because, oh, look at that. So now I'm kind of, I don't know why I built it that way, but I'm just going to put it down and go with it. This one I do use a 9 card a lot with. I love this deck. In fact, I need to put this particular one up. I've been wanting to work with it a while before I had put it up on my shop, but I need to. Because this is really gorgeous. Again, I would tend to go with the middle card and the front, these 2 cards, and kind of this is kind of a key. This is a focus, which is really interesting. That's Raven is my definitely something I'm dealing with this month, right? And then go to your corners, go above, go below, go in the current right now, go past, present, and future. This is an oracle deck that lends itself to this style of, so you can see that they're smaller decks that I tend to gravitate towards for the 9 card. But it's also somewhat to do with the actual style that the deck, there is some foundation. So for example, this is the Rackham Oracle, which uses the same artwork by author, not the same artwork, but same artist as this deck. And what's wonderful about this is there is actually a male and female card. There's a lot more cards in here, so you have to look a little bit longer to find it. But I do like to use cards, types of cards, and you can use significators in tarot as well. You can set your intentions. I'll just do that in a second. Of course, now am I going to, here's a female significator. So I would do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sorry, I'm starting to get decks everywhere. So I would do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see these are more tarot size, so they get a little bit obviously larger. We see the male significator turned up as well. So because of this, I can say, okay, I can do a general reading around somebody and say, okay, well, this is a time for renewal, right? When we look to the forward, first we can see, okay, there are some courage is needed because we may be needing to face some consequences that may be actually difficult to deal with. And so it's important to, hold on to our courage here. And because these things are going to be difficult. But you can see because there is a significator card, I do make exception with this one. The other would be the, for example, the Chronicles of Destiny. That's another one that I definitely use a 9 card reading with. So there are some exceptions with Oracle, but for the most part, I use it more with cartomancy style decks, and then definitely with tarot. Now, as I was saying, you could pick a significator for tarot as well. Let's say you were looking for a relationship, right? You're looking for information about a relationship and you wanted to do a 9 card. You could shuffle for, say, the 2 of Cups. And so then you can look through here. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit longer for you because there are more cards. And obviously, I have these mixed up. And you could even pick a major arcana for it if you wanted to. But I would just go with, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's whatever sticks out to you as being relating to. So there's the Two of Cups. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you would take the Two of Cups. And obviously you can do however you want to do this. This is just the way I would do it. I do this often, pulling and then pull the card above and in front of it and behind it, but I don't do this a lot with 9 cards. I usually just lay 9 cards out, but you certainly can choose significators. Again, I'm trying not to go into actual reading it, but you could choose, my point being, you could go to a significator, even in a tarot deck, and then read around it. What are the cards that are directly touching it? That's going to have the most impact. What are the cards in the corner showing, however you would like to see that as being sort of an underlying message there? What are what's going on under the roots of this relationship? What's going on in the people's mental space here? These are directly before and after a significant information about the past, a significant piece of information about the future. You can really play with it. So all that to say that I really encourage you to play with the 9-card this 9-card rectangle format in a variety of different ways, because I think it's a really beneficial spread to get comfortable with and familiar with. You can get a lot of information and a lot of different aspects of information from this particular card or this particular spread. So I hope that this has been of interest to you, and if you play around with this or you enjoy the 9-card and look at it in different configurations that I've talked about, feel free to put that in the comment below. I'm always interested to see what people are doing with different spreads.